in me. Hello.
Good evening, esteemed participants. Welcome to the second day of the Faculty Development Program. Here are some guidelines for the smooth running of the program. Firstly, ensure a stable internet connection to avoid disruptions during the sessions. Mute your microphone during the sessions unless requested to unmute. Actively participate in discussions and ask questions through the chat or during designated Q&A sessions. Keep a notebook handy to jot down important points for the evaluation test. The feedback link for each session will be shared in the WebEx chat box immediately after the respective session concludes. Please ensure you fill out the feedback form before leaving the platform, as attendance will be recorded based on the submitted feedback. Please adhere to these instructions to ensure a smooth and productive FTP experience. Good evening, esteemed colleagues, speakers, and participants. It's wonderful to see you all again on the second day of this exciting faculty development program on exploring the role of artificial intelligence in the evolving media landscape and rural entrepreneurship. Yesterday, we explored how AI is transforming the landscape of content creation and driving innovation in entrepreneurship, and also about the evolution of generative AI. Today, we will delve deeper into the impact of AI on tomorrow's media landscape and generative AI in the natural language processing. Now, without further delay, let's begin the first session of today's program. We encourage all of you to actively participate, engage with the speakers, and make the most of this opportunity. Thank you once again for joining, and we look forward to a productive and inspiring session. Also, please note, following the first session, we'll have a group photo session. Kindly turn on your video when notified so we can capture the group photo. We are moving to the third session of our FDP on Decoding the Future, the Impact of AI on Tomorrow's Media Landscape. It will be handled by Mr. Ritankar Chakraborty, Production Executive, International Media and Broadcasting, PR Solution, Leeds, United Kingdom, with an experience of about 10 years. He has Masters in Sports Business Management from Leeds Beckett University. Initially, he worked at DTDC, developing their training content. Currently working with PR Solution, where he is responsible for on-ground activities in sports events back in India, now taking care of international production and broadcasting for the company in a global market. We welcome you, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. You can continue.
Yeah, just let me check my camera. Am I visible?
No, sir.
Yeah, I think now I'm visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So, hi, this is Ritankar Chakraborty. And first of all, thanks a lot for having me in this session. It's an honor for me, actually. So, a very good evening to everyone, though it's an afternoon here in UK, but a very good evening to everyone. So, I'll be presenting my screen. So, just give me a moment. I think it's visible now.
Yes, sir. You can start.
Yeah. So we'll be discussing about the impact of artificial intelligence on tomorrow's media landscape. So which she have given a brief about, and tomorrow I think most of you were in this session and you got an idea about generative AI, and we'll be diving deep into this as well. So these are the activity map that the topics we'll be discussing on this session. So, first of all, we'll discuss about the introduction of artificial intelligence in media, then the transformation in media creation, then artificial intelligence in content distribution, then consumer engagement, redefining the consumer engagement, the AI-driven fan engagement, AI in newsroom, and finally the future outlook with sports and entertainment media. Because uh, I will, I'm working right now with PS Solution, so which is a sports management company and a sports broadcasting company. So I'm working with them for a very, very long time. So when working with them, I have witnessed when I was working in India, then I have witnessed I mean a lot of challenges when there is a niche kind of infrastructure you are working with in the sports industry. But after coming here, after studying the sports management, I can get a wider view that what could be the technological advancements could be made in the sports industry, which is I mean to be very honest, which is nowadays not a big challenge to develop sports with the technology. So I have a better perspective in the sports industry, and I will dive into that uh, slides later on. But before that, just let's get started. So, how about generative AI and cognitive AI? How many of you guys know about this generative AI and cognitive AI? So I'll just give a brief about this generative AI. So with the term generative AI, you can relate what it is actually, right? So it is all about to generate something. Maybe it could be a prompt, maybe it could be a text, it could be image, and generative AI is taking a higher graph nowadays because when you talk about media or entertainment or creation, it it always relate to something that which creates. There is an artistic thing within it. Maybe uh, the person could be a writer, maybe the person could be an editor, maybe the person could be a content creator. Whatever he is or she is, then he have the he could have the ability or he could have the power to generate their content or develop their content through generative AI, right? So it also allows to input of prompts to generate new content, such as text or images or videos. Nowadays, sounds you can produce sounds through generative AI. You can, I mean, tweak musics and do a lot of things with generative AI. So you can do voiceovers with generative AI. You can make 3D designs with generative AI. So this is how generative AI seems like. And the cognitive AI, in the other hand, the cognitive AI basically is an advanced form of artificial intelligence that mimics human thoughts, processes, and learning the abilities. So there are some potential benefits. So I have written these potential benefits over here. So the benefits could be enhancing creativity, improving learning, supporting research, and etc. All these things. And at the same time, there are some potential risks as well, right? So every coin have a two sides. So there are some potential risks as well. So it could cause the reducing the creativity if you depends upon AI all the time. If you are depending upon AI, it could reduce your creativity because you are not thinking that much. Though you are just giving a prompt, you are getting a result on behalf of that. So it could cause a real damage to your creativity. So it could cause impairing learning. So I can share you with an example. When I was in the university, one of a guy sent me his PPT. I told him to make a PPT on the five European club footballs and their economics and everything. So the guy took the topic. He searched a lot in not in Google, not in Google Scholars, not in the books, not anywhere else. He just copied few details. He just copied few documents from ChatGPT and all, and he didn't even realize that what are the mistakes, what are the terms that I have changed. So I I hope everybody of you knows about a club Real Madrid. So AI did AI changed the name Real Madrid to Genuine Madrid, and he just pasted the whole thing in the document. So it 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 could cause a disruption of your ability to learn to read. So it's better to use AI as a tool, as a sword that could help you to fight and to develop contents, but at the same time, not training your brain that I am not able, just I will do my work. So this could cause a risk. So let's begin with, yeah. So what is AI's role in media? So I'll shortly just If, I mean, AI's role in media, it's probably, you can say, to develop the contents in the media industry, to transforming the contents. So if you see the an OTT platform or some social media platforms, so they goes upon with some algorithm that they will suggest you a lot of things. They will provide you the reels, or they will provide you the contents you're supposed to watch. The AI does those things. AI in the media industry, AI is getting very powerful to suggest you, to prefer you what kind of songs you want to listen, what kind of reels you want to what you want to watch, what kind of content you want to consume. So nowadays the YouTube algorithm or Netflix algorithm or Instagram algorithms, all this works like the same. So if you are a sports freak person, there are a lot of reels nowadays. The IPL auction happened. So everybody was very upset with the RCB auction strategies and everything. So all of a sudden, if you scrolls down your Instagram reels, all of a sudden those kind of reels comes to your feed that RCB should have done this, RCB should have done that. So AI, AI in media nowadays is generating a very powerful resources. They are improving the audience engagements. Mm, and they are creating top notch. I mean, you will love those effects. Maybe in sometimes, if you are travel freak, if you love to travel, sometimes you could get something in your feeds that some places that you never went to, and those are not real. So in this kind of level, AI can contribute in the media industry as well. So in a lot of films, in animations, in VFX, there are a lot of genres in the media industry which are right now getting driven by the AI technologies, which is a big boom. So continuing through this, so how AI implementation encourages social media consumption. So the topic I was telling about, that AI, like the social media consumption. So in India now TikTok is banned due to India's conflict and some other reasons. So TikTok is now banned. But TikTok is I mean I have put this graph bar graphs according to the Indian perspective, you might say. But this TikTok graph you could see here, the TikTok graph, sorry, yeah, this TikTok graph, you could see that it's 11582. It's all it's in millions. So you can see that it's all in millions numbers. But in other countries where TikTok is not banned, TikTok is, I mean, one of the largest social media platforms in other parts of the world. I mean, they don't use Instagram or Facebook that much. But you see here in India, we consume Facebook a lot because if I can say something, it's my preference. It's my perspective. So Facebook posts. There are a lot of pages which post many movie clips, long movie clips, dubbed version. So people used to consume those dubbed version of films in the Facebook. I can say my mother does this. Sometimes I also do this. So there are some grapes that you could relate to yourself, because if you see your mobile screen time versus screen time, you can say that you have spent this much time in your phone when you are traveling, when you are going somewhere, when you are in office, maybe you are in college somewhere else. So you are consuming social media each and every time. So this is the scenario. This is so I've put some data over here. So according to CAGR, so AI market in social media is expected to reach it's 3,714 million dollars. So which is a by 2026. I mean, it's 2026 is just 2025, and it's just 1 year after 1 year. So it is a big boom. So you know, uh, nowadays people consume social media a lot. I mean, they're earning from the social media platforms. The influencers, they're earning from the social media platforms sometimes more than a corporate person. So the ad engagements, the ad revenues, their view counts, everything is increasing day by day by day. So previously, people doesn't follow a person, doesn't get a verified account. So you can learn their schemes, So how AI or how the companies, the social media companies can engage you. Previously, it was very difficult to get a blue tick, a verified account, to be a verified account in Instagram. But now you can buy a verified account. So now you can relate that how they can generate such million dollars. You are the consumer. You are consuming it. So these marketing strategies can also be done by the help of AI. So now you can relate that how people could consume social media in such a large scale. So moving on. So this is the growth of AI users. So I feel proud to say that India is now one of the leading country to use generative AI, to use generative AI. But it's an art as well, because you have to give the proper prompt to the AI to generate that kind of content which you are demanding, which is your desire to get. it's not that easy. Initially, when I started using generative AI, it was difficult for me to generate a very quality content because I didn't knew the prompt. I didn't knew the proper prompt. I just texted something that I wanted this in an image. But after the results came, it was not satisfied. I was not satisfied with the results. But this is also an art. This is also a knowledge, point of knowledge that you have to get. What kind of prompt you should give to the AI? Create those generative models to give those generatives maybe text or maybe images or sometimes maybe code. So ChatGPT can do coding as well. So this is the graph you can see from 2020 to 2025, from where the graph went to in just 5 years. And again, it's in million, 378.8 millions. So this is a very, inspiring model that India is getting into the generative AI, or India is using the AI technologies to develop their content, to develop their productions, everything. So moving on, now I'll give this example. What is this about Huddle? So this Huddle is a company. It's basically a company. Previously, there was no such brands over there. I you can see Instat over here. Instat is basically a Russian company. So they have tied up, they had partnership with Instat. So Huddle nowadays had done a tremendous job in the sports industry. Has done, literally a tremendous job in the sports industry. What Huddle did, they made some products, uh, which will basically analyze games, which is analyze the footages and everything. And they worked in such a grassroots level that you can see there's some cameras over here. So these cameras can this they named it Huddle Focus. So these cameras can automatically capture the live streaming, the performances and everything, and they can automate the analysis their own. So they are doing a tremendous job in the sports industry. But the point is you cannot purchase it on your own. You have to be an organization, or either you have to be a team, or either you have to be a company who are gonna analyze you for you. So they are doing this for big companies, and a lot of companies, I can bet a lot of companies, European companies, American companies, they are using this kind of software, this kind of AI tools to develop their abilities to work out, to go into the field, to perform, to better their performance and everything. I personally worked with Instant when I was in India. Peer Solution had a collaboration with Instant. Everybody know maybe I'm assuming that I League. I League is a football tournament happens in India. It's a very and old league happening in India for a long time. So I League, and there are a lot of other tournaments PS Solution work with. So I personally work with Instat. So you have seen that in the live matches, maybe it's cricket, maybe it's football, anything. So in the live matches, there are some stats going on in the screens repeatedly, every time, all the time. So where football are coming in the crease. So uh, there are some footages, or there are some live stats that this player have done this goals, this player have participated in this game, this player has this performance list for the last performance for the last season, like this. These stats and kind of things are provided by Instats. So during the live matches, Instant does this. Nowadays, Instat has had a collaboration with Huddle. So volumetrics is the same for a volleyball. It's a tool, it's a scouting tool. You can imagine that what kind of development they have done in their tools. So they can nowadays they are They're telling you that they can scout players for you by judging their performances. So who will do that? Who will do this in the software? Nobody's sitting in the back room or just doing something and scouting this. No, they are doing this based upon the analysis done by their equipments, and they are telling this players have this abilities, this is players can't do this. So this is your requirement, and this is the potential players. So they are they are demanding that their softwares can do these things, and all this is doing by the AI, none other than this is done by the AI itself within the software. So if an organization purchasing a software, suppose volumetrics is deeply used by the USA men's and women's volley team. You know how they performs. So USA doesn't like to get second. They always tends to be in the top. So they invest this kind of softwares to build this kind of softwares, and they're getting the results. So AI is so deep into the sports technologies as well. So you can imagine that suppose I'm giving you an example. Suppose a team suppose Indian football team have purchased these softwares. Okay. They are scouting in the grassroots levels. They are going into the field, they are recording the videos, they are doing all these things. So once at a time, you can you can gather a large amount of data. You can gather a large amount of you can have the data of a large amount of players, and you can give it to the software. They will analyze this. They will tell everything that this player have this weakness, this player have these abilities. This is your requirement. You want this kind of players, and these players are fit for this. Your your process for scouting or recruitment will will go short in just few days. With you would have spent a lot of months scouting it. It would come in a short period of days, maybe 1 week or 2 weeks. So this kind of revolution is happening in the sports industry through AI. AI is doing this. And I have one more study of this Azu. So this is one of my favorite company. I when I first saw their contents, I was just blown away. Then I contacted them. They invited me in their office. I had a session with them, and when I see how they are making these contents, you can see these interactive contents. This is the heat map. They are making this. So all the time, this is very impressive. The current Euro Cup, the last year it happened in the Euro Cup, the live graphics, every graphics was done by this company Azu. So when I went their office, they were working with big companies now, right now. So UEFA Champions League, they were working with UEFA, they were working with Eurocup and American football and a lot of other companies as well, very big names. But they, I mean, you would like to see this kind of contents, right? Some clarity with some graphics, with some beautiful graphics. You'd like to see this kind of contents in your, if you are a sports freak, you'd like to see this kind of content in your feed. And it's impressive. You automatically hit a like whether you know the sports or not. In fact, I do this when I see this kind of good contents. I doesn't even know the kind of sports they are playing, but the content is good. If the content is good, it attracts you. So this attraction matters. So if it attracts you, you will hit a like, or maybe you will spend some more time to to get through the letters, to get through the designs. Yeah, this is looking good. Yeah, this is nice. So this kind of content development is done by the Azure. There are millions of content. They have, I mean, the company used to work in these strategies. They have a million of templates. They have created a lot of things, a bunch of whole lot of things they have created. So now, when they are getting some image of a player, they have the content. They are generating the content every day. They have their templates. They will merge it up. and they will get the best result, and you will see this kind of results. So if you use Photoshop, or if you use Illustrator, or some those kind of softwares, so it will take a lot of time to make this kind of posters, to make this kind of creatives. But through these platforms, you can use this kind of software, this kind of posters and everything in just couple of minutes. It's just your creativity that how you're gonna mask this, but it's available. It's available there. So this kind of content creation is done by AI. AI is developing these contents. AI is developing these ideas, and people are merging it. They are producing this great contents. So now moving on to the media sectors that are influenced by artificial intelligence. So there are, I mean, few sectors in the media that, so gaming and interactive media, journalism and news media, so music production and broadcasting and streaming, film, television, and advertising, and marketing. It's also done by the media. So I'll just elaborate some points on this. So if you see the journalism and news media, so AI can automate news reports, and that is happening not just right now, that is happening for a long time. AI can automate news reports. So AI can actually verify whether the news reports are correct or not, it's true or not. They can cross check it. So fast checking and misinformation detection. So Google have their own fast check. So there are some companies who are doing this, right? So later on, they have personalized news feeds, right? So Apple News and Flipboards. So if you suppose if you are watching some kind of news frequently, if you are into political news, or if you are into sports news, or if you are into film news, a lot of feeds, the algorithm, they develop the algorithm in such a way that those kind of news will come to your feed very repeatedly, very frequently. So AI can do all these things. Then going on the broadcasting and streaming, there are video editing apps. So you can, earlier I used to make contents through Premiere Pro, which is a very traditional way of making videos or editing videos. But nowadays there are a lot of softwares, there are a lot of video editing apps. You can make Instagram reels, or you can make videos in just a couple of minutes. I mean, you don't have to spend a lot of time to making this. There are templates available, there are effects available. You just put them together, just make the video. There are AI powered camera tracking that I've earlier shown that the hurdle is making those kind of softwares, and they're creating this market, just getting blown away. So there are real-time sports stats analysis. So these are few companies who are responsible to generate the stats. So there are a lot of organizations who buy those stats, or who have their partnerships, or they have the contract signed with few companies that who will be providing the stats, and those are basically based on the AI. Those are also developed by AI. So if you go to the personalized content recommendation, if you see some content, or if you see some videos or podcast, anything in YouTube, those kind of podcast or those kind of contents comes to your feed. Same does the ESPN in the OTT platforms. So these are few broadcasting and streaming platforms. So suppose Geo Cinema. So Geo Cinema have now the rights for IPLs. So other than IPLs, there were a lot of sports. There are a lot of sports events happening around. Or in Geo Cinema, if you see a movie, suppose a South Indian film, or a Bollywood movie, or an English movie, you can get the recommendations of those genre of movies. So these are done, right? So now advertising and marketing, if we consider the advertising and marketing, the campaign done by them are also generated by AI. Actually, you can consider AI as, as a tool to generate the content that that uh, will that will be shown in the TV, or that will be, uh, I mean, this you can see this logo of Coca-Cola, this ad campaign of Coca-Cola. This is made with the help of generative AI. You can see a robot holding a Coca-Cola can, a Coca-Cola glass. So this kind of contents are also generated by the AI. So it's based on which area or which country or which segment you are targeting. You can either choose your target audience, or AI would rather choose for you the target audience. So based on the target audience, who are your target audience, who are your targeted consumers, you can personalize the content with the help of AI. You can personalize the campaign with the help of AI. So AI will develop the campaign. You just have to do it. You can do a lot of things in advertising and marketing as well. Nowadays, you can see a lot of advertisement in between YouTube ads or anything. A lot of advertisements are just few animation clips, right? So a lot of them are just created by AI. So AI is contributing in the advertisement field a lot, a lot. So moving on the film and television. So I have put out a lot of logos here. So some of our content creating, some of us are animations, some of our music. So this kind of so everybody of you know that ChatGPT. This is the logo of ChatGPT, and everybody is aware that what ChatGPT can do. Everybody's aware. So there are a few softwares, animation softwares like Blender, Autodesk, Maya. Earlier, it used to be a very monotonous thing that every point you have to do physically on everything. Now, AI has developed I mean, AI have developed in such a way that you can just put some commands and it will do the work for you. It will identify that which area or which portion you are trying to develop. Suppose there is a model, there is a human model or a dinosaur model. You want to move the dinosaurs. Earlier, you have to just do it point by point by point, frame by frame by frame. Nowadays, you just give a prompt to this model, they will make it automatically. So this kind of development uh, have done by the AI technologies, by implementing the AI technologies. But there is caution that you have to keep in mind that deepfake technology can really be a problematical thing, because deepfake AI can digitally replace actors' faces, or it can be used unethically, which is happening around us, which is also happening around us, because a lot of have seen that there are two images, and they're animating those images in such a way they're making some vulgar videos out of it. So this kind of vulgar things are also happening, which is a sign of danger maybe. But yeah, so you can in the film and television industry, in a lot of films, in the VFX. So VFX are right now, I mean, a lot of movies and everything are just shooting in the green screen, and the rest is taken care of by VFX. So you can change the whole scenario with VFX. And in VFX, by implementing AI, they are reducing a lot of cost. They're cutting a lot cost. So, and it can save your production time as well. So if you are just shooting in a green screen and doing the rest of the work by having the VFX team, so it is taking care of it traveling time. It is cutting time from uh, the other activities, the other set activities which has to be done if you are doing everything in a physical world, isn't it? So in the TV, in the television industry, so AI can generate or develop the voice as well. So yeah, so moving on to the music and audio production. So there are a lot of platforms. So if somebody doesn't know how to play an instrument nowadays, they can just install an app in their mobile. They can just learn how to make music, and they are making this. They're doing this. They're creating musics instead of having I mean, the, the initial knowledge of music. They're creating musics. They're just tapping some points in a drums or tapping some points in a keyboard, and they're making musics because the software or the apps is developed in such a way they've automated the AI in such a way that they will instruct you initially that these are the processes that how we have to do this, and if you learn the process, you can make it. This is happening. And if we consider about the streaming platform like Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube Music, anything, so you have your personalized choice. So if you are into Bollywood music or if you are into 90s music, it will come to the recommendation after and after every time. So whenever the next time you are opening the app, they will suggest that you have listened to these songs. This is your weekly list. This is your monthly list, and whichever you want, you can listen it again. You don't have to search every time. You don't have to make your own playlist every time. They will create the playlist for you. How this is happening? This is happening through AI. So they are generating the contents. They are generating the playlists for you. Yeah, it's obviously there is a personal choice that you want to make a playlist, separate playlist for separate things, but they will recommend you every time, every time. So now coming to the gaming and interactive media part, AI is taking a lot of, I mean, demands and desires through gaming. So I, I'm hoping, I'm assuming that everybody knows PUBG. So during the COVID or after the COVID, the PUBG turns into BGMI in India. But the PUBG or the company Krafton, after the PUBG came, nowadays the PUBG is developed in such a way. I mean, they are developing every format, every maps and everything. Personalized choices are there in the game. So PUBG is now making careers of a lot of people. Gaming is also making careers of a lot of people. So Hello Games in UK or the other parts of the United Kingdom, so they are developing gaming contents in such a way. So nowadays gaming content is not just playing games for fun. So gaming contents or gaming platforms has become a storytelling platforms. Children are getting addicted to it because there is a story behind that. You don't know where's the end, which level. When earlier, when we were a child, we used to play games, we used to cross levels. Nowadays, the pattern has changed. The pattern is more into storytelling because it is getting more interactive. AI is developing the games in such a way there is no end point. There is no end point. You are telling a story. You are doing a mission. You are going on a mission. You are experiencing it. It's more about the experience now because it was very rare for me when I used to get to a PlayStation. But nowadays, the physical players, the basketball players, the footballers, they are using these games. They are using PlayStations to develop their brain cells, to develop their thought process. That yeah, okay, this player is playing like this. This is they are competing against the AI. they're competing against the computers to develop their physical skills, not just physical skills. Before they are developing their physical skills, they are developing their mental skills. This range of development is also happening in the gaming industry. This range of happening. So AR, VR is also a part of it. So they can really visualize everything. They can feel those patterns, feel those players against them. So this is I mean, a big development through AI in the gaming industry. Unity is another example of developing games for a long time. So, if you are wearing a VR glass, so and if you have a gun within your hand, which is a false gun, I mean, not a real gun, obviously. But if you have a gun, if you are holding a gun, and if you have the VR, so this kind of games can also develop a normal person into, I mean, maybe into a military person. This is also happening, and those are so accurate. Those points and those interests are so accurate in can't imagine. So it will kick you every time that you have to be accurate. You have to be accurate. It will kick me every time. Because you can see the stats of the other persons that they are doing better than me. But I'm not doing the better than them. It will kick you every time. So this kind of development is also happening in the gaming industry. So now I'll just tell about the artificial intelligence in content distribution. So some of the points I've already covered in this. So personalized recommendation, automated content scheduling, targeted advertising, and monetization and content moderation and misinformation detection. So if you see that personalized recommendation, so I've already told you about this personalized recommendation. So if you see some certain kind of contents in your YouTube or maybe in Netflix or Amazon Prime, they will suggest this contents, those kind of contents to you repeatedly. And I mean, they learn AI learns your pattern that how you are watching this content. I mean, this is so minute that AI can detect. AI can tell you that you are watching content. You are watching more contents of 15 minutes. Suppose there is a content of 20 minutes. You are watching more content of 15 minutes. So AI will suggest, or they will suggest, the platform will suggest you that this content might be 15 minutes duration. They might suggest you some reels regarding those contents. They might suggest you some shorts regarding those contents. So content recommendation or personalized recommendations is, I think, you are well covered with this kind of things. Now, automated content scheduling is is another tool I can say, or if you have an YouTube account, if you have a creator account in YouTube, or if you have a creator account in Instagram or Facebook, anywhere, you have to be a creator account. It has to be a creator account, first of all. So if you have a creator account with you, uh, you can get an option when you are uploading the content. You are getting an option that you can schedule your content for futures. So if you have developed something or if you are trying to post something, so you can schedule those posts according to your choice because you can choose those things based on the based on the graphs, based on the statistics, based on the insights that AI has provided to the platform and the platform is showing you. So suppose there's such kind of contents that the platform YouTube is telling that this is videos have gained the reach if you are posting these videos around 6 o'clock on Friday. So you can see those graphs, you can see those insights that this kind of your videos is seen by subscribers of 70% and not subscribers of 30%. So your subscriber generally get active during this point of time, around 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. So this kind of suggestions you can get. So based upon those suggestions, you can schedule your contents when you want to post those contents. And based upon those suggestions, you can also target your audience. There are some choices, there are some suggestions which are provided by the platforms, digital platforms. So you can choose the target audience. When you are supposed to post something in YouTube or in Facebook, they gives you an option that does this video is for 18 plus or for a kid below 18. So you can target your audience as well. You can target the audience distribution by seeing the insights that yeah, this video is I'm targeting I'm targeting audience of 16 years of age to 50 years of age. And based upon this targeting, you can monetize, you can get the reach, you can get the views, and later on it will result in the monetization. And at the same time, there are some misinformations which are also intentionally developed by AI. There are some people who are intentionally making misinformative videos or misinformative contents or images which are not true. AI can make that as well because AI have the data. You cannot imagine what range of data AI has. So there is a part as well. There is a bad part as well. There is a misconsumption or misuse of these AI resources as well is happening. So moving on to the consumer engagement. So how AI has redefined this consumer engagement. Nowadays, you can see a lot of websites or a lot of platforms who have their chatbot assistants because you don't have to wait for a real person to uh, to assist you every time because they have developed the website or the platform has developed their chatbot in such a way through AI that they can understand what you are telling, even if it's not an MCQ type question answer. They can understand your statements and they can suggest you regarding that. If you want to book an appointment, suppose you want to visit a doctor, you want to book an appointment through their websites. So you can tell those chatbots, you can chat through those chatbots. And this kind of AI development is nowadays a very common thing, and it has become kind of mandatory thing in every I mean interactive websites or every interactive platforms because they want their customers to get the best experience, and people will spend a lot of money to develop their websites if they are very much professional, if they're going to make their business. Nowadays, you can train yourself by sitting at home. I've shared a screenshot here. I have shared an image over here. So you can see there is a trainer showing the posters and everything, and it might be you or me or anyone else. They are doing the same posture, they are doing this same thing, and you can track their movements as well with the dotted points. The dotted points. You watch it with the digital watch. Nowadays, what are the digital watches? There are sensors who are collecting data from you, right? You can control your watch through a mobile. So you can see how many steps have you walked. You can see how many calories have you burned. Everything is not exactly accurate, right? But those are some assumptions. Those are also made by the AI. AI is collecting your data. AI is computing your data. They are providing. So now you are engaging with this, no? So this kind of engagements, this kind of consumer engagements are happening through AI as well. So now, what is this AI-driven fan engagement? So I've already discussed a few points regarding this, that automated video highlights, the streaming platforms use those. So if you go to the Start Sports, the Hotstar app, so once the match is done, after the cricket match, suppose a T20 match is done, they are providing the highlights in just in less than 1 hour. So earlier it was not possible for a person to make a highlight of 14, 15 minutes, to long 3 hours, 4 hours match such a quickly. Nowadays it is possible. They are providing the highlights in less than an hour. So fan engagement could be personalized contents that I've already discussed, the chatbots and visual assistants as well. So I was discussing this. Now the productive analysis or the augmented reality. When I was speaking about the gaming part, I've also shared the augmented AR VR things. So productive analysis at the same time, and when you are watching some YouTube analysis or you are watching some Instagram analysis, it will make you develop your content, or it will make you equip you this. I mean, these platforms and these engagement, these insights will ultimately equip you to develop a better content to get your consumers, to get your subscriber to have a better experience in your channel or in your platform. And ultimately, it would uh, it would benefit you only after developing this content. It will benefit you. You will be earning more money, or you will be gaining more fan engagements, or you will be gaining more ad revenues and everything. So ultimately, all these fan engagements. So AI will tell you, AI will suggest you that you should do this by analysis this, by these insights. You should do this. You should tend to this target audience. You should tend to this kind of videos. You should make this kind of videos are getting more engagements. So you can relate to your fans as well. So you can relate to your fans with the help of AI. So AI in newsrooms now, because nowadays there are a lot of news channels. I mean, it's more based in YouTube's, not the TV channels. Yeah, the TV channels also uses this, but mostly the YouTube channels. There are a lot of YouTube channels uh, who cover news medias or news footages, because there is a lot range of things. There are a lot of YouTube channels who are uses some some facts, who uses some historical facts to get into a point. If you have seen that, suppose there is a script going on and some part is getting highlighted in the video. So those kind of video engagements, those kind of news videos can also made by the AI. Nowadays, I mean, in some conditions, they have the news channel or like that. They have created a model, AI model, is speaking in front of you. The voice is also dubbed, and that is also dubbed by AI. So those kind of news articles, those kind of news platforms, they are also news agencies. They are also using this automated content generation, and more importantly, the news platforms also verify the fact that it's a big thing that the news platforms can also verify the facts, that whether it's correct or not, whether it's valid or not. By sitting here, by sitting here, you can know about what is happening in America, because every time, every moment, they are developing this content, they are developing this news, and with the help of AI, you are getting this data stored in the AI. I mean, you don't know how they're getting stored, but their data is getting stored in AI, because everything, every moment is, I mean, It's connected, interconnected with your Google account and everywhere. So it's not just you. Everywhere there, their platforms there. I mean, everywhere you have to log in or you have to subscribe for those, right? So if you are downloading an app, you can't use that app without logging in. If you are subscribed to a news page, you can't read all the contents without subscribing to the page. So whenever you are subscribing, whenever they are subscribing, some kind of information are getting shared throughout the world every moment, every second. So we're sitting here, you can literally know that what is happening in America, what is happening in Russia. You can literally know everything, and you can validate those facts as well. But yeah, at the same time, you have to validate it because you can't post false statements. You can't post false news because it will damage your impression, your image in the industry. But news media is also getting very much occupied or getting very much influenced by AI contents nowadays because they are developing a lot of content, they're developing a lot of creatives, they're developing a lot of writings, their articles through AI. I mean, if you look at these contents, people can filter their contents, people can develop their articles through AI with the language they want, with the quality of words. They can develop the quality of words. It will, I mean, if you read those contents, if you read those articles, you will feel good. You won't hesitate that yeah, it's a very hard English. But with good words, it matters with good experience. You will get, if they are putting good words to develop their writings, to develop their articles, you are getting the good experience. Right. So now moving on with the futures outlooks of sports and entertainment. Uh, this is just a few facts I have put in the email. And later I'll just hold on for a few seconds and move to the next slide. So there are some examples in this image. So I'm putting this in the next slide. So these are some AI implications in live sports analysis. So these kind of implementation can be done in the sports industry. So in the beginning, I've told you that I am from the sports background. So I have a lot of you can relate a lot of knowledge regarding the sports, what's happening in the sports industry through AI. So in the first image, these are all live matches image. In the first image, this one, right? In the first image, it's a passing analysis in the live football match. So when you are watching FIFA World Cup or when you are watching UEFA Champions League or La Liga, whatever it is, you can see the pass, uh, the what distance they are giving the pass, what is the elevation angle, what is the curvature angles. So when Messi shoots a goal, the free kick, when Messi shoots a free kick, so it analyzes instantly. It analyzes that what is the curvature angle, what is the shooting distance, everything. So these statistics, these analysis can be done in seconds through AI, and this is happening every day. This is happening every day. So you can analyze in just a second. You can analyze whether the player is doing the offside or not, whether he is in the offside or not. If you can do this in just seconds in a live match. In the second image, it this is an image from the Border Gavaskar Trophy. So everybody who know that this is Virat Kohli. Virat Kohli, there's a lot of things going on regarding Virat Kohli's form and everything. So this is a live match footage. So you can see the batting analysis, the posture analysis in the live match. You can see the posture analysis in a live match. Can you imagine what AI is doing in the sports industry or in the live entertainment industry? He's doing a posture analysis. When a bowler is bowling, They are doing the post analysis from which angle the bowler is being outswing, which angle their bowler is being outswing. They're doing everything. In the third image, it's a basketball match again. So it's a movement analysis in a basketball match. How the player is moving, what is the distance from a player to another player, the passing distance and everything. So AI is analyzing these things. I mean, they're analyzing each and every minute details, each and every minute particles, each minute points in the match, in a live match. And finally, it's a rugby match. It's a throw analysis in a rugby match. So you can see it's written 25.9 yards. So AI can measure distance. I mean, look, if you see from this point, you cannot imagine that you cannot predict that what distance is another player. But AI is doing this in a live match. AI is doing this kind of things in a live match. So I mean, it's obvious that AI is taking a lot of creativity and a lot of analysis in a live sports. So so that's almost all for me. Now it's your turn. If you have any question, feel free to ask. Hello. Yes, sir. Anyone having any questions? Wanted to know about something more about sports or live events?
Let me start from myself, Dr. Shahin
Yes, sir.
Seklor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I I'm thinking about something in Wimbledon tennis and
Yes.
French Open and
Yes.
US Open. We are using AI there to find the lines.
Mhm.
So that's an option for that, right? So
Yes, of course. Of course. I have not shared the Wimbledon
now
footage here.
something like in our local sports also. That would be
Yes.
very good. Right? What's
Yes,
your
of course.
remark
Of course.
about that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can do every analysis. I mean, so Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, now Alcacer. Alcacer was doing a lot of research. Alcacer was doing, I have seen a podcast of his. Alcacer was doing a lot of research in the analysis that what kind of sprints he has to do, he has to practice to beat Novak Djokovic. What kind of sprint analysis that Djokovic, what kind of trend analysis they have done that if he puts a shot in the other corner, how long it would take to reach him in the other side of the field, the other side of the court. So it can be implemented in a lot of sports, but it's depend the way the sports is played. You have to analyze in the way the sports is played because every sports has their own rule, every sports has their own platforms, own dimensions. So just first of all, we have to analyze the code or the game rules and everything. Then we can analyze every point, every detail.
Yeah, I'm thinking about something like we have a local sports like kabaddi,
Yes.
uh, something like that. I mean, there is a line there where we can apply for A.
Yeah. I mean, um, in the Pro Kabaddi League is already broadcasted by Star Sports. I think now it is taken by Geo Cinema, maybe. But the Pro Kabaddi League, they already have implemented AI. Uh, they've already showing that the jump the player is doing, the minute points that the player is away from the lines. So they are already analyzing this kind of things in the kabaddis.
So I think that's the use of AI in sports,
Yes,
especially.
yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
sports management courses are there.
Yes.
A lot of courses are
So in
there.
this sports
I
management courses,
just
there is a
contacted with one person. I contacted with a person in America. They told me
yes.
that uh, they got a internship with US Open
Mm,
for handling all these issues. Their AI
yes.
is applicable.
Yes, that is also happening there because NFL and a lot of American companies, America is doing a lot of things in AI development. America and Japan, these two countries, they are doing a lot of development in AI to develop their sports culture. Because I told that America never wants to be second. And Japan is now nowadays Japan is developing a lot of things in technology, and they are using their technologies to develop in their other sectors. Maybe it's medical, maybe it's sports and everything. Japan and America, they're doing a lot of things in AI.
Refer to my favorite sports is tennis. So that's
Yeah,
why I'm very concerned about it. I mean,
yeah. Tennis,
the
there is a lot of things going on. Yeah.
Steffi Graf
Yes.
is participating in the French Open. So uh, if we could able to applicable the AI in the lines, that will be very
Yeah, I mean,
applicable.
it is also possible. It is also possible if we have the old footages. It is also possible to analyze their shots, their movements, and everything. It is also possible because if you see in the post-match presentations, the experts talk a lot about their angles, their postures, their everything. So they analyze those based on the footages. So everything doesn't goes live, but a lot of things also happens post-match. So it's also possible to analyze those things.
Okay, anybody else they can talk. I mean, I'm asking about I request to talk about sea sports because we have some volleyball sports also, right?
Yeah.
They are it's also it's an entertainment, right?
Yeah.
Partha also saying about that. We can
Yeah.
have something which can
Yeah,
be
actually, we speak a lot about this AI implementations and in his company, how could we implement the AIs? Because we have to get partners with some other companies to get the stats and everything in the live match while they are broadcasting. So they has to work on this because he's covering a lot of sports, even polo, even golf, chess, a lot of sports. So it's very important for the consumers to get a better experience. So if they can develop everything, they can develop the AI, the analysis for every sports. Because now it's a demand. Now it's a demand from the consumer end. That we want to see this kind of analysis during the matches. So Partha is doing a lot of things in sports as well. So hopefully we'll be watching some great experiences.
Sir, there's a question in the chat box. Can I read it?
Yeah, sure.
Sir, the question is by Veena Jose. So the question is how the reliability of the content created is ensured.
How the reliability, uh, first of all, you have to understand that what is your content genre? What kind of content you want to develop? But I mean, humans are very critical brained. So they can think out of the box. They can think, I mean, you can think that what kind of content or what kind of design you want. You are instructing the AI to develop those kind of things so that you can develop your content. So don't rely every time on AI, but rather than I would suggest just develop your content through AI. First, you have to think critically because ultimately it will be named that you have developed that content. You have created that content. So it wouldn't be named that AI has created that content. So you have to think critically, what is your requirement? Tell AI to develop that. That will work.
Okay, sir. So participants, if you have any kind of questions or queries, please you can ask in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and ask.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. Am I audible to you, sir?
Good evening. Yeah, you are audible.
Yes, sir. So my name is Professor Sandeep, sir. Sir, I have a question right now. Like, as I'm actually into, I'm taking care of MBA program,
Okay.
and could you just guide me as to conduct some of the AI tools for the students who are connected with service marketing subject, like how the things that you have taught us since 1.5 year since for this session, which all AI tools can be useful for us for me to teach students the service marketing subject.
To be very honest, I won't be able to suggest you particular AI tools, but
शादी
I can suggest
मांगे
you doing.
अभी तुम
So
एक भी ठीक है
when
अभी
I
उसका
was in
नहीं है परेशानी
PTDC,
वाला एक
I used to make contents
अभी
for
तुमको लग रहा
a
होगी
large kind of audience. So you you know your students. Who are your students and what kind of subjects they are studying and what kind of field they are want to going on. So you can build those contents. You have this idea. You have the knowledge of what they are studying and all. So you can there are a lot of changes here too. I can suggest one. There is a app called Napkin AI. So which is very good with flow charts and everything. There is another AI called I'm forgetting the name. So Napkin AI actually I use Napkin AI a lot to make the flow charts and everything. So they will generate flow charts and all for you. They will generate those kind of contents for you. Now you have to know that what kind of contents you want to present to your students. So if you know that what kind of content you want to present to your students, there are Leonardo AI, there are Napkin AI. Those kind of platforms will help you to generate those contents for you. But it's hard for me to tell because I am not from those subjects. It's hard for me to tell that what exactly the AI tools that can be used. But yeah, you can use this kind of platforms. And if
Sir,
it's an interactive video like that, so you can use Canva, you can use CapCut. These softwares have their templates and all.
sir, thank you so much for this suggestion. But sir, my question was that, like, can you also suggest me, like, is there any AI tool which can read the textbooks and it could generate some sort of the soft copy representation? Like, do you have any
If
knowledge
you
regarding that?
if you copy paste the statements and all, Google Translator can only read it out for you. If you
All
have the
right.
whole content, you can rather uh, take the whole content, whole article, give it to ChatGPT, tell ChatGPT to compress this or brief this. Just there is an option in ChatGPT, I think, after you develop a content and after you create some articles or there is an option to voice. So ChatGPT will tell you. ChatGPT will tell this.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, a very fruitful session that was conducted by you, and very, very
Thanks,
thankful to
thanks,
you
sir.
and the
ఒక
organizers.
పెరుగు రోజే కాదు అన్ని రోజులు తినాలి.
Thanks, sir.
పప్పు రోజు ఒక్క రోజే తింటాం.
Is there any question in the chat box?
Yes, sir. Can I read it?
Yeah, please.
So Sonia Abraham has asked, can an AI model generate truly novel and original ideas that were not explicitly present in its training data?
Yeah, AI can, but again, it depends on you. What is your requirement? Yeah, but you have to clarify those data. You have to uh, go through the whole content. You have to understand this because in the beginning, I have told there was a guy. He copy pasted everything from AI, and AI have changed the name Real Madrid to Genuine Madrid. So this kind of things could happen to you as well. So when you are developing this, so you have to be careful with the data, with the terms, what with the meanings that what exactly you want to make and what AI is suggesting. So you can refine those data. You can recreate on your own by them.
Thank you, sir. So I hope all the questions or queries have been answered.
Okay, so it's my pleasure, and you have been a
Yeah.
nice audience.
So thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
We would like to extend our sincere gratitude for this enlightening session. Your in-depth analysis and forward-thinking insights have provided us with a clearer understanding of the transformative potential of AI in the media industry. We deeply appreciate the time and effort you dedicated to make this session such a valuable experience for all of us. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you so much. I'll just stop sharing the screen and we can proceed.
Okay, sir. So next, we kindly request everyone to turn on their video so we can capture a group photo. Everyone, please turn on your video for a group photo session. Participants, I would like to all of you to please switch on your cameras because we have a group photo session.
నువ్వు చేసేది నువ్వు చేయి, నాకు బాక్స్ చేసుకోవాలి.
Okay, thank you everyone. You can switch off your cameras now. So there are some more instructions that I would like to tell. So it has come to our attention that several registered participants have not joined the WebEx meeting, or they have not marked their attendance. Please note that 80% attendance is mandatory to qualify for the certificate. Therefore, we urge you not to miss the sessions. The feedback link for each session will be shared in the chat box immediately after the respective session concludes. Please ensure you fill out the feedback form before leaving the platform, as attendance will be recorded based on the submitted feedback. Considering the technical issues faced on the first day, we have decided to provide an opportunity to submit feedback forms for sessions 1 and 2 of day 1. These feedback links will be shared at the end of today's session. Participants who miss these sessions can use this opportunity. Please note that this arrangement is only for applicable for day 1 and will not be repeated in the coming days.
Thank you.
There's also one more session. It's I'd like to remind again that we have about 80% attendance that is mandatory so that you can qualify for the certificate. And also for the persons that have missed the feedback forms for the last day for session 1 and 2, it will be provided again at the end of the session. So please, if you have not provided the feedback for session 1 and 2 of day 1, it will be provided again at the end of this session. And please note that this arrangement is applicable for day 1 and will not be repeated in the coming days. We are now moving on to the next session of today's program on generative AI in natural language processing, opportunities, pitfalls, and safeguards. It will be handled by Mr. Naveen Sigamani, Manager, Revenue and Product, the News Minute, Hyderabad. Mr. Naveen was trained as an anthropologist and worked as a field anthropologist on projects for the UNICEF, the World Bank, and the Government of India. During the early dot-com bust of 2000, he was part of the startup ecosystem and worked on content development with India's first and only homegrown search engine. As an operations specialist, he worked for the government of Singapore for 4 years before spending more than a decade solving the world's biggest problems at Google. Mr. Naveen currently works on revenue and product at the News Minute, the most reliable source for news out of South India. On behalf of all the participants, we welcome you, sir, to the session.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope I'm audible to everyone. Can someone confirm that I'm audible?
Yes, sir. You can start.
All right, fantastic. So the time I was given was 7:30. It's 7:26. I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about where we are going before we actually get started, so that if somebody is going to come exactly at 7:30, we give them that opportunity so they don't miss anything. Okay. So I'm now presenting my screen. I just wanted to ask you all if it is visible to you.
Yes, sir, it's
sir.
visible.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. All right, super. So
Yes, sir.
Naveen, it's good. Yeah,
okay.
it's from Dr. Shankija. Yeah.
So I'm going to spend the next about hour or so talking about something which actually has been interesting me for a really long time. And I've been working on versions of this from way long before the term AI became as common as it is today. And AI became like so universally used in so many places, right? So I just will talk a little bit about that, where I come from and my perspective. And today I'm here to share with you my experience as a practitioner, as a user of AI, as well as a little bit of insights from the other side, from where I was on the side where the AI was being built, and from the side where I was helping from the development of AI tools. So these are the two perspectives that I bring, and that will kind of, I hope that I will be able to give you something that you can actually take away from this and use in your everyday work life as you use AI for it, right? So today the topic which kind of brings us here is generative AI in
Sir, your
natural
voice is
language.
breaking. It's not audible.
Okay, is it? Okay, hello, is it better now? Am I audible? Hello, hello.
No, sir, it's still breaking.
Yes.
All right, wait a minute. Is it better now? Is it audible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, is it audible now? Is the issue still there, or am I audible right now? Hello? Okay. I can see thumbs up, so I'm going to assume that that means I'm audible. So, right. So the topic that brings us here today is generative AI in natural language processing. And we are going to talk about the opportunities, pitfalls, and what safeguards we can take. Now, we will quickly go through the this is the agenda we're going to talk about today. I'll give you a little bit of background and then tell you the practitioner's perspective and why it matters and how it can be useful to you all in your everyday work life. And then we will go on to talk about the opportunities, the pitfalls, and the safeguards we can use. Right. So without too much delay, let me jump right in. Right. So a little bit of background. Like I said, this is kind of to help you understand where I'm coming from and accordingly interpret whatever information I'm sharing. Right. So I spent more than a decade working with Google, and in the early days, right, between 2012 and 2014, I was part of a large initiative to kind of help Google understand um, what people would type into the search box. Right. So basically. That's the fancy term for that is the natural language processing. The way a computer uses language is very dissimilar from the way a human being uses language. And the challenge here was to figure out what somebody is trying to look for when they type certain words into the search box. Right? So, as part of a very large team at Google, and we uh, tackled really, really tough questions because it would literally be like, I'm trying to look for something and Google would understand it completely differently. So we were part of the team that kind of stood between that and figured out how to build that, what kind of logics you need to build, right? So this is way before the term artificial intelligence was used, and it was especially the early days of machine learning at that point. And it was Google, so we had like massive amounts of data from which we could make things better. But the complexities of how human beings use language um, and how significantly it differs from how a computer understands language. Um, those were the underlying problems that we were trying to solve at that point, right? That was one part of it. The second part of it, which completely brought a whole new set of challenges and like complexity, which was of a crazy level, was parsing Indian languages, right? So these were two challenges that I worked on while I was there, and this gave me very acute insight into um, how how machine learning works, how machines to use better think, and then how they process stuff, right? Like, so then it was there was a long gap between then and the next time I actually encountered artificial intelligence. So from 2021 onwards, I've been working at the News Minute since 2020. From 2021, we've been actually partnering with a few technology companies, very, very big names. We can't tell you who this is because of NDAs and all of that, but with some of the top companies in AI in the world. And the idea with which we've been working together is to harness Gen AI for the world of publishing. Now, a little bit of context about the News Minute. We are a small news organization. We are based in South India. We report on South India. And if you're a small media company, you will resource constraint is a really, really significant thing. It's real. Like where large media companies have tens or even hundreds of people working on a problem, or even on a process for that matter. We in our company we literally everybody wears multiple hats. There's really a very small amount of resources to go around, right? So for us, it is using AI to be able to boost the amount of impact that each person can have is something that is like a holy grail for us. So this has led us to partner significantly with the people who are working in that space to make sure tools are developed that will actually help us deliver more impact, right? And for the past about 3.5 years, I've been implementing Gen AI policies in the company that I work at. Now, I'm going to draw on these two disparate sets of experience, right? One was behind the hood, like if you take AI to be a car. I mean, I had the bonnet up and I was looking at the engine to see how it was working before, and now for the past 3.5 years, I've been driving that car and I know how that engine works. So I've been able to get a lot of good results out of driving that car. So that's the perspective I'm going to bring to you. And I've tried to in this session, I've tried to interpret it in terms of how we use it in our everyday work. And hopefully that will make sense to all of you. Cool. So this is the practitioner's perspective, right? So we use this for making both marketing content as well as branded content. Now, in marketing, what we do is we write marketing copy. So the prompt that I have right here is we're going to have a special offer during Pongal where people can buy subscriptions. So we tell it, write a description for a buy one, get one free offer on the occasion of Pongal. And then it comes out with a bunch of options, right? Then we ask for variations and themes. Now we have the basic messaging. Then we tell the prompt, we want this to be written differently for different audiences. People who are regular readers need to see a different type of messaging. We have a whole bunch of people who search for stuff on search engines and they end up on our website. So they're probably seeing us for the first time. So for such people, we want to show a completely different message. And then there are other people who keep coming and keep going, but they've not subscribed or they've not actually engaged with us. So we'll do a different type of messaging. We can also use other groups, like we can say, write it so that it will appeal to students, or you can say, write it so it will appeal to professionals, however it is, right? Like, so we can get variations on that. So that is something we use it for. And then, of course, there's social media, right? So we have a basic thing. We'll say, okay, here is this article we have published. This is the blurb from that article. Now write it for all the social media platforms. So we just, whatever we use, we'll say, write a Facebook post, write a Twitter thread with 5 tweets, whatever we want. We tell it and it produces all of that, right? Like, so this is one way of using it. We use it for producing marketing content. The other thing that we also use it for producing is for producing branded content. By branded content, what do I mean? So we have a lot of clients who kind of use us as trusted sources to put out their offerings. So these are rather than being advertisements, these are this is editorial content, which is actually produced by which has useful information, which provides users with um, information that is otherwise not easy to access or is probably buried behind a lot of marketing talk, right? So, for example, we work with certain hospitals where we get like the top surgeons to come and talk about uh, specific types of illnesses and what you should do if you encounter it. What kind of symptoms should you watch out for, and then what kind of tests can you do, and what options are available for treatment, right? Like, so we do like an interview with a doctor, then we produce the content. So this is what I mean when I say branded content. This is not, these are not advertorials. Rather, these are information. This is information content. And there are, it's actually quite its utility to a user is very, very high. Now here, what we do is we would just say, even for an interview, right? Like suppose we have a doctor who's a specialist is a cancer specialist, right? Like I'm not a cancer specialist. My reporter is not a cancer specialist. So we can just ask for AI to give us a list of questions that we can ask the doctor. Now, since the doctor is a specialist, when we take the questions to them, they are able to vet and say, hey, this question doesn't make sense, or this information is wrong. So we have the subject matter expert there giving us, adding to the utility of the output that we get from AI. Then once we do the interview, we take all of that and we again give it back to the AI and say, write an article out of this. And we give it all the directions that we want, right? We say, give it a nice headline, make a excerpt out of it. We'll say, start with a quote from the doctor, however we want it, right? And accordingly, it will write. We give it more and more instructions so that it refines the output. And then we finally have a copy that works. And that is, again, we give it back to the doctor to see that everything is all right before publishing it. And of course, once we do that, then we ask, where we tell the AI, here's the article, write social media posts for it, and we get the output. So this is how we use it for branded content. Now, these are two ways in which we very, very commonly use it in my everyday work, right? So a lot of the insights that I'm about to share with you are from these two. And if you noticed, I did not talk about editorial content in this. We are a news organization. 99% of our output is editorial in nature, right? So as part of our the efforts that I mentioned previously, we experimentally work with AI tools to produce editorial content. I use the word experimentally because we have not till now felt comfortable enough to publish the output given by AI tools. And here I'm not talking about generic AI tools. I'm talking about specific AI tools that are built with us in mind, with publishers like us in mind. So we are in the phase where we are experimenting with them. We are testing them. We're testing their boundaries. But at this point, we are not in a place where we are ready to put out that content. Two reasons. One is that, see, our core competency, our core value that we offer to our readers is our journalism, is basically the reliability of that journalism, the accuracy of that journalism, and more than anything else, the perspective that we give when you report on something. Now that we feel the output from the AI is not ready to take that place. So that is one. The second part is that there are very real issues around intellectual property with AI, right? Like I know it's a very high level statement, but that is something that we still haven't internally figured out how best we want to deal with. Because I'm sure all of you are aware of the issues surrounding some of the art AIs where a lot of artists protested against, saying that whatever these guys have all taken the art that we have published, which actually belongs to us, and that they've trained all their algorithms on it. And that is what is making all of these art AIs work. So, there is no acknowledgement or there is no compensation to artists whose basic works have been used for training the AI. So it's a very murky territory. We've not made sense out of it yet. And that is one of the reasons why we are also not in a place where we are ready to put AI behind our editorial work. But we've worked extensively with it. We've spent, well, almost a little more than 2 years constantly working with editorial content and AI. So I drive those initiatives at work. So I kind of have a good handle on that, right? So this is the perspective. When I say practitioner's perspective, this is what I mean. I use it every day in my work. I use its output for specific types of work. And we constantly are experimenting, and we have deliberately keep away from using it for certain other types of work. So why did I take so much time to set all this context for you is to kind of, when I give you some inputs, when I share some information, I want you to be aware of where it is coming from the perspective where it's coming from. So, so that you're able to judge for yourself whether the outputs I can give you are actually, you can take them and use them directly in your work, or whether you need to think about it a little bit, right? So that's kind of my intention behind going into a little bit of a long context at this point. So now that that is established, let me just kind of jump right in. And we'll go into the first part of what we are here for, right? What are the opportunities offered by GenAI? Now, I was there for a little more than half of the previous presentation, and a lot of the stuff that was discussed and which was with very much detail it was presented was very fascinating, and a lot of it actually explores the ends of the possibilities that AI can offer us, right? So I'm kind of glad that that came before me, because that makes my job a lot easier. So within that vast vast galaxy of options that AI can give you, and all the opportunities that it can offer you, I am going to focus on something which is really narrow, because that's where I come from. Is that what are the opportunities in producing content, right? Two specific types of content, to be precise, and we will go through that process and we will talk about that. So the content that we're talking about is, like I said, we're talking about editorial output and marketing output. And the first opportunity that AI offers is a reduced time from concept to publication. Now, this again can be interpreted in many contexts, right? Like regardless of what you're using it for, you may be producing a publication, you may be in your job, you may be writing reports, for example, or you might be making presentations, whatever it is, right? The concept is, from the time you think we have to do this, or in terms of news, a situation develops and we say that, yes, we're going to cover this, to the time that actually makes it to publication. Publication is when, it appears in print or on the web or wherever it is, right? So there is a particular list of steps that you take. And that can be greatly reduced by using AI, not indiscriminately. You're not going to like sit and tell the AI, hey, this thing happened, write a news report for me. Now, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about an actual process in a newsroom where it goes through several set processes, and we are not skipping any of those processes, right? It's just that we are using AI to help us in certain aspects of it, so that we still retain control of the whole process, and the quality of the output is thereby in our hands and not in the hands of AI, right? Like, so That is why it's broken into this. So we just quickly look at the stages that go into a marketing campaign, for example. This is what I do on a daily basis. Now we start with the concept. We say, hey, Pongal is coming up, so shall we do some offer? Okay, let's give buy one, get one, right? Then we go and do the creatives and options. Pretty much like this involves like a bunch of people coming up with ideas. We write 3 or 4 different themes. We write creatives for that, and we put CTAs, whatever it is that is needed. We put all of that together and say, okay, these are the options. Then we do curation, which essentially is running it by management, running it by, up the ladder to say, okay, which of these options will we go with? And then 1 or 2 are selected. And then, but they'll say, okay, make these changes, or we should combine these 2 to make. So that is the finalization phase where it all comes together. And then finally, it is time for the release. The release itself has a bunch of steps by itself. Now, the same thing, same process when you see it in terms of editorial output is when news breaks or something happens, and that's the concept where you say that, okay, we're going to cover this particular happening. Say the Hyderabad Lit Fest was open, and then what happens is then the reporting and research happens. Now this is like there the reporter actually goes there, gets pictures, talks to people, and then they do their research where they do the background stuff and all of that. And then they come back and do the writing and production, right? Like, so if it is if the reporter is if it is like a text publication, then the reporter actually sits and writes the story. Or if it's a video publication, then they actually sit, put the write the script for it. They do the PTCs, whatever it is, right? And then it goes to the editing desk where it's all put into place and it's made how it's going to be ready for publication. And then finally, the publication or the release happens. So these are the steps that happen. And this is what takes the time from concept to publication. Now, when you use AI in this, significantly, these processes are reduced. Now, your concept, creatives and options, all of that are squeezed together. So if you look at it in the marketing campaigns, the first 2 steps, concept and creatives, are squeezed into a single shorter time frame. And this is because as you're conceptualizing, you're literally typing it into the AI and telling it, give me 5 different themes for promoting a Pongal offer. And it comes up with it right there. So there is no separation between concept and the creatives and the themes. Then from there, it goes into curation. This process is not going to, this AI is not going to help, because literally this process involves you're taking your concept, you're taking it and going to your management and saying, hey, look at this, select one of this. AI is not going to be able to help there. So they're going to select something based on whatever. They'll ask you for data, or they'll look at something, like it better than the other. They'll make their decision. And then you come back. And this is where it gets really, really interesting, because the finalization is pretty much instant. Because the moment you select one theme and you know what you're going to do, that finalization becomes really small, and fine tuning is done on the fly, right? Like, so comes up with like 5 different paragraphs of copy. So you can just literally type in saying, oh, make it sound more personal, make it sound more festive, add a couple of proverbs to it or wisdom to it, whatever you want to say, right? All of that happens on the fly, and then your finalization happens. And then the release itself is greatly abbreviated, because release otherwise literally involves making different versions for different mediums, right? Like whether you're going to put it out on video, whether you're going to put it out on audio platforms, or you're going to put out on text platforms, all of that is done at one shot by your AI tools. So it greatly compresses the time from concept to release for marketing campaigns. The exact same thing applies for editorial as well, except the compression happens differently. So concept itself, the moment something happens, initial research, initial putting everything together, prep right before you go and do your reporting and research happens slightly quicker, because you can use AI to give you your talking points, but you still need to look at it and verify it, because if you're going to go out and you're going to talk to people about it, you need to be sure about what you're saying. So the concept time is slightly shortened. It's not greatly shortened. And then your reporting and research, again, AI cannot do this for you. You have to do it for yourself. Even if AI will sit and like provide you with points of research, you're a journalist. So it is your job to verify whatever you're going to put out, right? So reporting and research remains the same, the time. Writing and production again comes down. Now you've gone out, you found out 25 different things. Now you put down all those things down, and then previously what you used to do is you do literally write down and okay, I need to say this in a narrative, I need to keep it a flow. You sit down, think of all of those things, and you write. Now the physical act of writing itself takes time, right? Like the fastest writers I know still take a couple of hours to churn out a 1,000-word piece. But AI does that really, really fast. So what you do is you give it the ideas and you say, write it in this way, and then just give it prompts and you tweak it so it will keep changing it till you're happy with what is there. Your writing is done. At that point, you take it, then you make it your own. Obviously, you put in your voice, you edit the narrative, whatever. And by that time, you're finished with either the writing or the production. You push it to the edit desk. Edit desk will do everything, writing with the house style, um, changing conventions, whatever. They'll put the mark of the organization on it and push it to publication and release. And publication and release is the exact same thing we saw in the marketing thing, where you need 5 different versions. It happens instantly in AI. So even in something that is very complicated as editorial output, you still actually have the opportunity to reduce the time spent using AI. The caveat here is that, like I said, internally there are reasons why we don't at the News Minute we don't use this. We don't use it for editorial output, but we absolutely use it for branded content. So this whole thing is significantly squished. So that is the first opportunity that it offers. Where something took you 5 hours to do, you could probably compress the whole thing into 2 hours now, like a significant reduction in the amount of time that it took you to produce. Now, what that means, what does reduced time means, it directly has an impact on the amount of resources you need. So let's take that as a news organization. You're putting out, say, 25 stories every day. 25 articles are written every day and published. Now, we employ these tactics. We start using AI, right? And let's keep it modest. Let's just say the time has just halved, which means in the same time, the same effort it took you to produce 25 stories, you're able to produce 50 stories, right? So you can do double the work in the same time, or you can have a much lower cost by having a smaller team, a more agile team, and you can produce the same output. Either way, this is something that is a business decision that is that drives this whole thing, because the difference between the production output is the impact is fully on business. So that is always taken from that perspective. So the second advantage that you get, which is like a derivative of the first, is your return on investment is much higher. You put in the same effort, you get a much bigger return at the end of it. Right? And then this is like my favorite thing actually. What I like to call it content variegation. Variegation essentially refers to like a uh, variety of looks for the same thing. Here I've used it in terms of content. So let's say there is a piece of content that we have produced. There is the literary fest is open. Dr. Sashi Tharoor came and made a speech. As he was leaving, you managed to corner him for 5 minutes and you got an interview with him. This is the thing, you got your interview. Now, that interview has a whole bunch of elements, right? Like there is the sound, there are videos, there are photographs, there is the text that is produced from all of this. Now, imagine we're going to take this and we're going to make we're writing an article out of this, like a text article saying Sashi Tharoor says such and such at this inauguration, right? And in an interview with us, he said all of this. That's a copy written for the text. But we also have pictures, so that will accompany that. And then on your the picture type of like Instagram, we would put a picture story. We would put like 4 or 5 pictures of the whole thing. And then we also have a video of it. So we would make reels out of it. We would make shorts out of it. And we would push that out. Then for our YouTube channel, we have a longer one. So we make a 5-minute cut and we put it there. And then we also have just the sound. So we include it in the next podcast episode. And to promote all of this, we also make multiple types of promotional material. Now, this is what I mean when I say content variegation. So your reporter is going out, getting information and coming back, right? And this applies to all scenarios, whether you're just a news organization or any other type of organization. When you're producing content from one source, you can actually have a whole variety of content, right? But what stops us from doing this all the time is literally the amount of effort, the amount of man hours involved in doing this, right? The amount of person hours involved in doing this. And that is where AI comes in. It comes in, it takes your long form text content and it just spits it out, right? Like your short form text content, you can make tweet threads out of it, or you can put visual content, which is shorts or reels. You can make a podcast, or you can make this article aloud. All of this with just one content input, right? So there, this is done. Again, the time and effort here becomes negligible, so that it no longer makes sense for you to just produce in one medium. So this is somewhat of a revolution that we went through maybe about 5 years ago, where we moved from being completely text driven. So we just used to write articles on our website, and there we from that, if you go to our website today, you will see we produce a lot of video content. Our YouTube content catalog is large, and we also have several podcasts running, right? Like, but we have not harnessed AI for this, so which has necessitated that we have a largest video production team. We have uh, we have a large number of people doing all of this work. Now, the idea with AI is that it can actually make this possible even for smaller, really smaller organizations. Like where you have a few people and you can do like a large amount of output from just them. Right? Like, so we also use it for specific things like generating social media, um, like breaking down scripts into smaller bits for producing, supporting, or producing offcuts from full videos, all of that. We use all of that, but it is something that AI can help, especially if you're a smaller organization looking to boost your content output. Absolutely, AI is, I mean, AI should be front and center of your content strategy. So this content variegation is a huge benefit that AI offers us. From there, we move on to so these are the main opportunities, right? Like your time goes down a lot, your ROI, that is whatever input you put, your output is greatly increased, and your content variegation becomes it becomes a matter of fact rather than a difficult problem to solve. So these are opportunities offered by GenAI. Now, in the next two sections, what I'm going to talk about is, while we want to take advantage of this, right? There are some very real problems, and I want you to keep in mind the context that as a company we don't use Gen AI for our editorial output, and the reason for that are some of these pitfalls, right? So we'll go into the pitfalls, and then we will look at what are the safeguards we can take to guard against being affected by those pitfalls. So we'll move into the pitfalls now. Okay, so this is my absolute favorite pitfall because it tells you like really wonderful and weird things. So how Gen AI works is that it literally digests a lot of information. There are like tons and tons of sources that it goes and takes in. And when you ask a question, it strings your letters together, it makes sense of it, and then it goes and looks in all the information that it has digested. Then it gets some part of it together, puts an answer together, and it pushes it out to you. That is how GenAI works, right? Now, while doing this, there are a few things that happen. One is the different sources from which it has ingested, right? So that is an important consideration. The second is how does GenAI take that information and relate it with each other? So the how we learn that if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. Now this works very well in math, but when you take it out into social contexts, when you take it out into human context, this may not always work in the same way, right? So there are that is what I mean when I say facts are not final. Now, GenAI will take something which is very clearly known, and they give you an answer which is really weird. And I'm sure all of us have seen examples of this. There's a particularly egregious one that I have selected for here, where I've asked it to, write an article about the architectural style of the Charminar, right? Like so, because I live in Hyderabad, we all swear by the Charminar. You can see it right behind me here on my background as well. We love the thing. So when I ask it to write a note, it gives me something, and very helpfully, it also shows me what is the source of the information it is giving me, right? But I am flabbergasted when I look at this because look at it. It says it is a Ottoman style of architecture, and below and I know for a fact that it is not Ottoman. But below it, it also says this information is sourced from Encyclopedia Britannica, which is an authoritative source. So then that becomes weird, right? Like I'm like, okay, is my knowledge wrong? Or is Britannica wrong? So then what I do, obviously I want to check this out, right? Like, so I go to the source, which is Britannica, and very helpfully, the part that AI has used for in this information is actually highlighted, and there is no mention of Ottoman. In fact, there is no mention of Ottoman in the whole article itself. So then what did AI mean by actually saying that this is the information, here, take this information, and actually pointing to Britannica as the source of that information? So that becomes a little bit dicey, right? So there are two problems here. One obviously is what it presented as a fact is not a fact. But the second problem is that it is claiming something to be a source. And when we go to the source, we don't find that particular information at that source. Now, these are both massively problematic, right? So facts are not final. That essentially is underlining from when you're using an AI output, right? Which brings me to my next thing is that Gen AI hallucinates. Now, Gen AI is trained on massive amounts of data as we looked at like a few minutes ago, right? So this data, you must understand that this data is Gen AI treats this as language data, right? Gen AI does not know this is history, this is folklore, this is fantasy, this is fiction. All of it is just language, right? So there is a little bit of so when it parses all of this data and gives you something out, it's a little bit it is suspect, and that is why the reliability of it, especially when it comes to something like news or when it comes to something like factual information, is suspect. So Gen AI also hallucinates, and this I'm going to share something with you which is not publicly available information, but pretty much anybody who's working on Gen AI will confirm this. So in early days, we were trying to get GenAI to give us some. You had asked for it for some data on population and genetics and all of that. So it gave us some information which was like blatantly false, right? So the question is, we typed in and asked, please provide the source for this, and it gave us like 4 names of books by authors, and couple of these books had multiple authors and all, and it was completely made up. The whole list was made up, like 4 books with titles which looked like this information could have come from. And these people were all fictional. They were not like they took somebody else whose name was there and put it. No, the people were fictional. The titles were fictional. This is all completely, and that's called hallucination. And GenAI does that as well. Now the problem is in the example that I told you, the data was obviously wrong for us when we were looking at it. One. Second is when we looked at the names of the books and looked up the names of the authors, we had reason to suspect it because the data itself was so terrible. So when we went and looked for this, none of it was actually true. So for us, we were lucky because we caught that. But imagine you're asking it a factual question and it makes a error that is not as egregious, right? You're asking for some data and instead of 22%, it says 42%. And you don't have enough context to know that that is wrong. Or it gives you a list of references where it gives you a list of 12 references, but one of them is fake, does not exist. It's difficult. You can't figure it out. I mean, even if you check the first 2 or 3 and they're all fine, then we just go ahead, right? And that's the reason we use AI for, to make our work easier. But that is kind of the real danger behind hallucination is that in a ton of otherwise verifiable fact, a completely made up one might be inserted as well. Right? So that is a problem. That is a real, very serious pitfall. And what makes this more dangerous is that you don't know when it will hallucinate and when it will not. You will not know how much it will hallucinate and how little it will hallucinate. And that makes it problematic because you cannot anticipate and work against that. So hallucination is the second big pitfall. Like I said before, GenAI is trained on large amounts of data, and all that data is merely language to it, right? So so it can't see nuance. There is no nuance for AI because again, it just takes language and relates different parts of language to other parts of language and spits out an answer. So especially since we deal with news day in and day out, current affairs and political affairs are super nuanced, right? Like if I ask you a question, like we all know Justin Trudeau resigned a few days ago. If you ask a question, why did Justin Trudeau resign? The answer is not a simple thing because of this. It's a very, even the simplest answer will require a lot of background and a lot of nuance to understand why he was popular, why he lost his popularity, and then why now he has to resign. But no, he will not go away immediately. He will be there for some more time till something else happens. Extremely nuanced, something as simple as a guy resigning, which happened now. Now, this is the kind of nuance that AI just cannot handle. Now, we found it frequently, and this is not a one-off occurrence. This is frequently, it happens, it keeps happening, is when we give it a bunch of legal data, right? Like there'll be some judgment which has been passed down. And see, judgments are interesting because they're voluminous. The recent Kerala, the judgment was like 587 pages. There routinely, you get judgments which are in the thousands of pages. Then you chuck it in a AI and say what happened. It happily mixes up. It doesn't know the difference between indicted, convicted, and acquitted. And which is crazy, right? Because the core of your reporting is that judgment is that this person was convicted or this person was acquitted. That is like your news. And AI cannot handle that kind of news, right? At least not now. Again, we need to kind of take this with the perspective, right? Like I'm talking about when you provide it with lots of raw data and ask it a question, it cannot make a difference between these three states. Similarly, we found with sports events, like it pretty much gets unless some in some places, you plug in specific tables of data and tell it not to vary from that. And these are only in um, custom made AI models, which are not accessible to most of us. Then it will be accurate. But the moment it is a generic AI that is trained on generic language, like the two most commonly used now, Gemini and ChatGPT, you ask it about any sports, you just ask for sports results, it'll give you accurate information. But if you ask it a question, uh, who scored the highest number of runs ever in all the Border Gavaskar trophies put together, it cannot differentiate between one and the other. It keeps making mistakes, right? So there's a bunch of that issue as well. So essentially, wherever nuance is there, where the largest differentiation between two alternative states is determined by a human being and a human thought process, AI is still not in a place where it can do that accurately, which is a big, big problem. Right? This is an operational thing. AI will not match your house style. All publications, right? Whether it is a newspaper, whether it is a digital news organization, whether you're an NGO and you produce your own newsletter, whether you're a school and you have your weekly or monthly newsletter that you produce, whichever, whether you're a private company and this is your newsletter that you send out to your clients, everybody has a house style, right? Basically, the moment you see something is written, okay, this is written in the style of the News Minute, or this is written in the style of such and such company. Now that is called a house style, and whether you have it officially determined or not, this is there. If you're a publication, you have a house style. And AI, Gen AI will not match your house style. This is a massive pitfall. Why? Because I mean, to quote a very simple thing, right? Like if I give you three news reports, one taken from the Hindu, one taken from the Indian Express, and one taken from, say, Deccan Chronicle, and give it to you, you pretty much almost always like correctly spot which one was from which because they're so distinctive, right? But Gen AI cannot do that. This is one of the problems that we are encountering is in spite of the fact that we've trained Gen AI with a lot of the data from our own archives, we are still not able to ensure that the output we're not even looking at like 100% or 80% match. We are saying, 50% match is even enough for a house style. The rest edit can take care of. That will not work. Gen AI finds it very difficult to do that. There are lots of claims that, custom AI models can do this. What they do is mimic certain rules that you give them, but following rules is not a voice. Voice is literally like you're a human being. You read something written in a particular style, and it is your humanness that makes it possible for you to take it and write it in a particular style. And that is something that Gen AI cannot do. So cannot match your house style. Crazy. Gen AI is not sensitive. In spite of, I mean, even if you put hard rules, Gen AI happily runs all over them. So that the emotional content is it's very cynical. So whether India could win the World Cup and it could be writing about a human disaster, it will have the same voice. It cannot differentiate between A and B. Then you tell it, oh, write this in a very sympathetic manner, in an empathetic manner. Then it will do that in a very mechanical way. And that it doesn't have the emotional depth. Like something a child could write this, an untrained child could write with better emotional depth than with AI. And that basically is what separates human beings from AI, right? Of course, There are certain house styles which are very bereft of emotional depth. So there, this doesn't matter at all. But in most of our contexts, in the places where we are, we at least want to have at least this much of sensitivity. So this is something which is a pitfall that we should be very, very aware of, right? So to cap it all, and this is possibly this is the biggest issue that we have faced again and again, is that it is not consistent, it is not predictable. So you could give similar set of prompts and you could get a similar set of outputs 9 times in a row, but that does not guarantee that the 10th time you do, the same output will be there. And this we see again when we're doing marketing content or when you're doing branded content, this is fine because at that point, the whole thing is, I mean, our timelines are better. We are able to like tweak it till we get what we want. But in a running newsroom type of a situation, this is not acceptable or possible at all. So, which is one more reason why we cannot use this for our editorial work. And this happens again and again. The only thing it is consistent with is that it is not consistent. So, which means it is not a how should I say? It is not dependable, right? Like so, you can't say that hey, I have AI, so I'm sure I will get this done in 15 minutes, because every day it will work for you. That one day when you are actually really strapped for time, it might not work for you. So then it becomes an issue, right? Like then your time just gets expanded, the amount of time that you spend using. So that is definitely like a significant issue, that it is neither consistent nor predictable. The caveat is that this will not be true in all situations, because again, when something is custom built and for certain types of responses, you have certain rules in place, you can ensure that will happen. But like I said, then that is not of a lot of smaller organizations. So we'll kind of recap the pitfalls. Facts are not final, which means any fact that AI gives to you are suspect. Gen AI hallucinates. It will not merely make up facts which don't even exist. It cannot handle nuance. It can't differentiate between things that humans can differentiate between. It will not match the style of your publication. It won't be sensitive, and it is inconsistent and unpredictable. Now, these are all pitfalls of Gen AI. And again, the context for this is something that we have dealt with, we deal with on an everyday basis. Now, the last part of today's talk is we will see how do we handle this. Okay, fine. I mean, we said there are these opportunities which looked very nice till we went and looked at the pitfalls, and we're like, how can we safely use Gen AI, right? Like, so then we come to the safeguards. Now, just like any risks to any business or any process, with sufficient processes in place, you can mitigate a whole bunch of these pitfalls, right? And that is what we will see when about the safeguards, right? So this is critical. You need to have a organization-wide AI policy. Now, this is what it means essentially is a written document which says this is how our company, our organization will use AI. If you have a doubt, can we use AI to do this? Oh, AI is saying this, should I do this? This is the document that you go and refer to and see, will this work or not work, right? So it doesn't matter at what level your organization is. See, you can be a large organization out of which you can be a publication division, right? Like you'll be a smaller portion of it. Or you can be the corporate communication cell of a NGO. You can be in any of these things. You can have an AI policy at whichever level you want, but it has to be a written policy. It has to clearly set out your AI goals, right? Like, so clearly it should mention what you can use AI and what you cannot use it for, right? You can use AI for writing the weekly newsletter. You cannot use AI for writing your annual report, for example, right? Like whatever it is up to it that the call is taken by the company or the organization, but it is maintained and everybody follows it. The second is define what controls need to be in place for using AI generated content. So which means that if something is generated by AI, before it goes out of the company, a person of at least the general manager needs to sign it off. Somebody, you put one rank there and say, there has to be some kind of a control in place. So that from a company perspective, it's always signed off by somebody who looks at the output, determines that this is in line with what our company believes in and stands for, so that it can go out, right? And then it has to clearly define attribution and related policies. So here the thing is, like I said, when something is produced by AI, to whom does the copyright of that particular thing, the intellectual property belong there is a very murky territory. Typically, companies deal with this by having their own policies. Some of these are often in contravention with some of the terms and conditions that you will agree to when you're using AI, but all of this is it's very murky. There's a lot of legal gray areas there. But how do you know what to do or not to do? It's because your own policy, your own AI policy will tell you. And whatever you do is in line with that policy. That is enough. You don't need to go beyond that. So that is why you need a policy. That's why, and this policy needs to be published by your organization. You all need to, everybody needs to be familiar with it, and you follow it 100% of the time. That is how you make sure that both you as well as your so here you go. So it should be in line with your organization's vision, mission, and values, because it should represent what your company stands for, right? Company, organization, again, I'm using these words interchangeably, and these can be made at different levels as well. It doesn't have to apply to the whole company. It can apply only to your research division. You can have your own policy, right? The next point is very important. It should be vetted by a legal team to see if it exposes the organization to any IP related or other risks. So this is important. If you're making an AI policy that your whole company or your whole organization is going to use, your legal team has to say, yes, this works, because they will be able to foresee if it leaves you open to any sort of issues. So because it is only the legal team who will be able to foresee how your company is going to use this in the market or outside, and whether that leaves you open to any sort of um, uh, risks. Then, of course, you need to keep updating it, because today AI will give you images and videos uh, and text. And suppose your policy is written to accommodate those scenarios. Tomorrow there's an AI that comes. I mean, this is already there, which will produce music. Now your AI policy has to cover that as well. So which means your AI policy has to be constantly updated. And of course, everybody who uses AI on behalf of your organization needs to be conversant with that policy, and everything that they use the AI should be within the confines of that policy. So this is the most important thing. Everything else that we will talk about as avoiding pitfalls are lower impact. Having an organization-wide AI policy is the absolute, it kind of binds everything together. It is essentially the wearing a helmet equivalent to wearing a helmet. Like it's your organization wearing a helmet to protect you from the pitfalls of AI. All right, so now we are getting more process oriented here. Fact check all AI output every time it is output. What do I mean by this? As we saw before, two of the big pitfalls is the fact interpretation, as in it takes facts from, we don't know where it takes the facts from, how it gives it to you as fact. It hallucinates, because of which every time GenAI gives you an output, the risk of the facts being incorrect is there. So you have to fact check it. So every output, right? So even once you're ready with this, all you need to do is like you say that, oh, just change this from active voice into passive voice. Or you're saying, okay, just rewrite this in like shorter format. Even then, the output has to be checked because AI will sneak in facts here and there or hallucinate here and there all the time. So every time an output comes out of an AI, it has to be fact checked by a human being, right? And this is something that we follow religiously with our branded content is the last check, the absolute last check before it goes to publication is by an SME. So we will do so if we go back to my example of working with a cancer specialist, we've done the interview, we've written it, we've sent it back to them. They've said, yeah, this is all fine. Then it comes back, we've done the edit, then we've done any check. Finally, just before it goes to publication, that copy literally goes back to the doctor and the doctor looks at it and says, fine, and then only we publish. This is good practice even without using AI. But when you're using AI, this absolutely should be there. Like the last check before it goes out of the door has to be by the subject matter expert so that they will catch any small things which have crept in, which may or may not be because of AI, but especially when using Gen AI, your SME has to sign off on the final version. Version control is very important. This again is if you have done any sort of documentation or any sort of audit control, anything, we already know how important version control is. But especially when you're using AI, version controlling is very, very important. So you're writing, say, let's take it, we are writing an article to go out. So the first draft is like, whatever, we put some things together, we tell AI to give us an output. So your input to so you can, I mean, how granular you want version control to be is entirely in your hands. But essentially, make sure that a very robust versioning system is present. Like if, for example, you use a common tool that a lot of us use is Google Docs. So that pretty much has version control built in because at any point you can say, go back and see who made which change when, right? Like so. So if you're using that, great. But even for that, make sure that the last change that has been made to your publication and the last sign off is actually coming from a human and not from an AI, right? So that essentially is how your version control comes into play. So all of this, what it means is the bottom line is that Gen AI should be where your work begins. It should not be where your work ends, right? So you're doing an article, Gen AI, you start with the Gen AI, which gives you the article, and then you do all the iterations, sign off. The check is done by SMEs, all of that is done later. So ultimately, it is the human who has read the whole thing, verified the whole thing, and says, yes, this is good to go. So that is the bottom line, that a Gen AI can be a good starting point, but it should never be anywhere near your last point, right? Like, so to quickly recap the safeguards, start with having a proper AI policy for your organization that you all can fall back on. Fact check all Gen AI output every time it gives you an output. Implement strict version control that helps you keep an eye on who's the person who signed it off. And keep in mind that Gen AI should be your first step, not your last step. So with these safeguards in place, then we can mitigate a lot of the pitfalls that we saw and actually take advantages of the opportunities that we examined before that. So that kind of brings me to the end of what I had prepared for y'all. I'm really happy to take any questions that you have right now.
Participants, if you have any kind of questions or queries, please feel free to ask them. You can either unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat box.
Sir, first of all, thank you for a wonderful session. And just more of a comment, it's more of a philosophy of a verify, check. More of a Israel kind of attitude where, although I'm not going to trust what you are producing, but still I will verify. So that's something there. And just supplement what you said earlier also. US also two of the lawyers has been penalized for using a chat GTP generated case laws.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, is there anything in the chat box? Unfortunately, I'm not able to see the chat box.
Any more questions or queries? Anyone? If you have any questions, you can put it in the chat box. Since there are no queries and any questions, so can we conclude the session? So, am I audible?
Yeah. I think I'm at the end of my session. So if anyone has questions, they can obviously write to me. I'm naveen.sigamani@gmail.com. I'm happy to answer any of your questions directly.
Okay, sir. So we can conclude the session. On behalf of all the participants, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to you, sir, for.
Sorry to cut you. I think a couple of questions on the chat box.
Okay.
If it's all right, I can take those questions.
Yeah, I'll read it out for you.
Sure.
So Sonia Abraham has asked, what topic would you suggest to be added in the final module of an NLP course related to Gen AI?
This is I mean, to be the thing that I would love to be added there is literally like a ethics course, because the voice of a human versus the voice of an AI and the ethics behind using the output in specific ways is something that could actually be because at the end of the day, that is going to be the steering thing that's going to help you make up your mind. Am I going to use this or am I not going to use this? So I think that should be something that should be an integral part of it. But that said, only looking at the rest of the content, it would be appropriate to suggest what should be like a additional module. But yes, something on ethics definitely belongs right there. There's another question by Veena Jose, I think.
Yes, sir.
Says,
She has asked, what made the reason for the change in the word count, as you said?
I'm actually very glad you asked me that because one of the jokes of AI is, I mean, a lot of AI practitioners will tell you this, and you would have experienced this for yourself as well, is that AI cannot count. There are numerous. You just search for AI cannot count on Google, you'll find a bunch of memes and jokes about this. It was literally like, so you tell it, you give it a bunch of information and you say, produce an article on 400 words, and it will write something that's either 200 words or it'll be 800 words, but not 400 words. Happens all the time, right? And then you literally tell it, right? Like say that, okay, this is fine, but can you make this in 400 words? It will say, sure, here it is in 400 words, and give you something that is nowhere near 400 words. So this is just it's a running AI joke, but it also represents a real problem, right? Like, especially for general purpose AIs, they find it difficult to actually grok that concept. So what may be the reason is, I don't know the exact reason, but it's a very common feature of most general purpose AIs. So Yeah, I mean, it's anybody's guess what the reason could. Awesome. That's the end of my answer. So, so yeah. So anybody else, if you all have any questions, I'm very happy to take them. Even at any other time, you can write to me at naveen.sigamani@gmail.com. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. I hope at least a little bit of what I said was useful and will help you use AI better in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of all the participants, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to you, sir, for the insightful session. Your comprehensive explanation of the potential and challenges of generative AI in the field of natural language processing has provided us with a deeper understanding of this rapidly evolving technology. We truly appreciate the time and effort you dedicated to the session. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
As we come to the conclusion of these thought-provoking sessions, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to our esteemed speakers for their time, knowledge, and expertise. Your insights into the evolving role of AI in media and natural language processing have certainly deepened our understanding and sparked curiosity. Thanks to Mr. Ritakan Chakraborty and Mr. Naveen Sigamani. Thanks to all the participants for their active engagement. Thank you once again for your valuable input. Also, please make sure that you have to fill the feedback form for both the sessions provided in the chat box. The first session's feedback form is once again shared as the response is less. Those who have not filled the feedback form, please fill it. Those who have filled it, please ignore. Make sure you fill this as it marks your attendance. Tomorrow, participants, please log in by 5:45 p.m. and the session will start by 6 p.m. Thank you all. I hope everyone has filled the feedback form. Thank you all.
Dear participants, hope everyone have filled the feedback form. We are closing it for the session, 4 sessions. That is yesterday's session and today's session. Thank you. Dear participants, once you have filled the feedback form, you can kindly leave the session so that we can close the session. Dear participants, those who have filled all the sessions feedback form, you can leave the meeting link. Thank you.